let's take some questions from our audience. And I think for this, we'll approach it as quickly as possible. All right. So we have a question from John. He's saying, as a first-time buyer, do you think it is better to buy a personal house first or a house for investment?
I think this comes down to your personal, how pressing it is for you at that particular moment. If you think, why would you personally? I would advise personally. This is more personal opinion. Your opinion may be different, but I would advise sometimes you have to go for your own personal home first, because why would you, if you've got the deposit, why not? But if you don't have the deposit to afford your own personal house, but you want to get on the personal property ladder, then I think the property crowdfunding would be good for you, because then even if you've got just £5,000 and you know that wouldn't go anywhere, or at least you want to invest something into somewhere, that would go for. But personally, I would say yes, your personal, because why would you be paying rent on someone else's mortgage when you can be paying that money towards your own mortgage? And don't forget, mortgage is also part of savings. People take mortgage as their own pension plan. So personally, I would say personal homes first.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Very interesting. I think I also have my own opinion there. I would say your personal home first, and this is the reason. For most banks, if you have your own house, getting a buy-to-let mortgage be a little bit easier. But if you don't have a house, you don't have anything, you want to then do business, they will come and say, do you really understand what you are saying? But if you have your own house, at least it shows them some level of assurance that you have gone through the process at some points, which makes it a little bit easier for them to be receptive of you. And like I showed you on the slide some previously, some people will pull out equity from their own house to then start investing. So if you don't have that equity in your own house, it's very difficult for you to then start investing somewhere. So I think it's on a personal level, it's good to have your own house. In fact, for some people, your own house, I think there's a government scheme that you can rent a room out. So for example, if you have a 3-bedroom house and you are occupying only 2, you can rent one of it out and you get up to maybe £7,000 and tax-free on that. So you can rent your own a room out in your own house, and that becomes extra income. They call them lodgers and so on. So it's not like you're having a tenant, you're only having a lodger. And so you can do both worlds actually, but then it depends on you. For some people, they have family, younger people. You want someone else to come into your personal space. Those are some of the considerations. For example, if you are newly wedded and you know that, okay, you want to go out in maybe walk in your shorts in the house, and you want to have somebody else join you, there is a risk there. So you have to also look at your personal preference, your family position at that point, and also there are so many considerations. But if you can, and you have a house that has maybe 2 entrances, for example, I remember sometimes I saw a house in Morrison, it has an extension that is part of the original house, but has its own kitchen, its own back entrance. That's perfect for you to rent out. You don't even have to interact too much with your tenant. You are on the same, it's like what we have BQ and so on in Nigeria. So if you have that, perfect for a start, but then I think it's good to go for your own personal house first. Okay, thank you for that. I think we take another question. We have a question from our own admin here saying, when investing in a location that you are not familiar with, how would you go about establishing relationship with service people who will be responsible for the maintenance of the property, e.g., when the boiler breaks down?
I think this is where having a property management comes to play. Property management is expensive because they charge you for these services. But for peace of mind, I think probably this is where property services management comes to play, because if you are in a location where you're not familiar with, you know no one, and there's always the terms that people always say that getting the right staff is difficult these days. So that's why you need the experts like the property management who would look after your property for you, to give you that peace of mind. So I think that would be my best advice. If you don't know the area, rather than you trying to get a plumber at mybuilder.com or somewhere, you've got an established property management team that have got these tradesmen like handymen ready to at your service when a needs arise.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think one of the things we said about location, which is very handy here, is if your property is around you, you have your own house, maybe you needed to fix your boiler, then you've had someone that fixed your own boiler. You can see whether they are good, and if they are good, you have their contact. You can always build that relationship from there. And I remember a few years ago while we were back in Hong Kong, I called my landlord and to say there is a leak, and he said, okay, in the evening it will be fixed. In the evening, I saw the man, he came with his trolley, and before I knew it, he was already under the sink trying things. And I said, for you to have this property to rent in Hong Kong, you must be very rich. But this guy came to fix things in the house himself. So if you are very handy and you can do a bit of DIY, that will save you a lot of money in the long run. But if you think you want to be hands off completely, then I think it's good to have a management company or an agent that does the day-to-day with you for you. It might cost you a bit for a start, but at least it gives you that rest of mind, especially if you are still having a 9 to 5 job. I can't imagine a tenant calling me while I'm teaching to say, hey, can you come and fix the toilet? And worst still, if the tenant is now my student, it's going to be a very interesting scenario. But then, it's good to have that opportunity to have a management company. Okay, I think time is very important, and we have quite a few more questions. Let me see. Okay, I think, yeah. So the next question is about resources, and I think I have a few resources to recommend, just shown here. So the question is about what other reliable resources, e.g. book, would you recommend for someone who is starting their journey of property investment? On a personal level, I like books. So there are 2 books there: the UK in Property Investment for Complete Beginner, the very short book that you can, if you use the audio version, you can finish it in less than 1 hour plus. If you use 2 times the speed or 1.5 times the speed, but it's a very good book to give you a very good overview. But of course, reading one book is not enough for you to say, now I want to be I'm a property investor. You need to build the knowledge with time. And the other book there is Property Investment by Rob Dix. Rob Dix is one of the guys in the picture for the Property Podcast. So there's a very good platform. So if you're on Spotify, search for Property Podcast. They give very good content on property. So you can read the book and then watch or follow their podcast as well. So those are the resources that we are recommending for this month's webinar. You will also get this in the email if you are subscribed to our email platform. But I will give our host opportunity to also recommend some resources.
Personally, I'm not a fan of books. I like groups. I like group discussions. So okay. I spend most of my days on LinkedIn. So I'm a part of different investment groups on LinkedIn, whereby you've got different people from different parts of the world sharing ideas. But there's a book that I would recommend. It's by Richard Alven. It's titled How to Dominate Property Investment and Achieve Financial Freedom.
Okay, thank you so much for that. We'll find that and add it to a special recommendation from our guest to the list of recommendations. Okay, there are still a few questions here. However, I'm very mindful of time. So a lot of people have voted for another session. So I hope our guests will be kind enough to come back again. So we will then decide if it's going to be next month or it's going to be in 2 months' time. But however, I think it might be best to have it next month. What do you say, sir?
I'm always available. If you call me, I will answer.
All right, thank you so much. So we have a lot of people voting for more sessions, which we will do the same. Hopefully, by then, by the next time, we won't have the technical issue, so I can cover more ground on how you can have your own property cost to look at, and then we will have more conversation with our guest on property investing. Okay, and hopefully after the discussion around property, we can then go to a new topic on that is very relevant to us. I think that's pension. I want to cover pension as well. So if you are not subscribed yet to our channel, please do so. You can search for Keep Stewards on Spotify, on YouTube, or you can also go on Instagram. We post content on Instagram. And we also have a website that is keepstewards.com, where you can get blog posts on, written, if you like to read written blog posts from the discussion in the podcast or in the webinar as well. And I think this is very important. Again, is a one way of supporting us. If you like this content, if you subscribe and you share with your friends and family, because again, the more people get to know about this, the more impact we can make. And by making impact, helping people, providing support to people, that brings the joy of doing what we do. And I believe, and that would be a good way of supporting or showing your appreciation to us as well. Okay. So we also have a Facebook community group. This community group is mainly if you would like to ask some question, even anonymously on the group. Some people, myself and other people will be there to share our idea. Like our guest was mentioning there, there's a part of a lot of groups on LinkedIn, for example. Then you can also join us here, ask your question. We try to support you. If you are looking for partnership for your project or your house property investment, make a pitch there. You get people coming to say, oh, we are interested in this, how can we work together? And that is it. I know a lot of us, we are from a background that says keep quiet, don't talk about things, don't let people know what you are doing. But at the end of the day, it's part of the reason that is keeping us back. So let's come together, let's have conversation, let's support one another, let's build community, and that is something I think we can do, that we should actually be doing. There are some questions that we are not able to answer today. We'll take them next in the next session. So look out for the Eventbrite invitation. One of the reasons why you have to register is just for us to be on the safe side of the law, because we cannot assume that you are still interested without you expressing your interest. So we cannot email you to say, join us. This is the link, unless you have shown or said that you want to join. And that's just for us to be compliant with the law. So I hope you will all understand that. I think I want to ask our guest one last question. I think we'll have you again, but we want you to tell us. So in terms of wealth, money as a Christian, what is something that you have changed your mind about recently?
Tricky question. But in terms of wealth, money as a Christian, I think the main thing is you have to, wealth should be used wisely, and that we as people are not the owner of a property. We're only just stewards. And I think don't be in a hurry. You get, because even the Bible in Proverbs said that whoever gathers little by little, it will increase. And wealth is a blessing from God. So do not forget that there are duties attached to wealth. So which means you always have to remember your 10% tithe as well to the church, and also offer alms to the poor.
All right, thank you so much. Very, very important there. Again, we believe, I for one believe in the power of tithing. So we are equipped stewards, and stewards is about, it's not about you owning the thing. You need to acknowledge that it actually belongs to God, and God has given to us. So we need to be faithful stewards. And part of faithful stewardship is He gives you 100%, because it's God that gives you the power to make wealth. And He then says, give me part of it and see if I will not bless you. Of course, some people, there are so many views on this, but on a personal level, it's work in my life. The more you give, the more it comes to you. I've told people stories of how I was living in a shoebox, and then someone said, "Oh, can I squat with you?" I said, "Why not?" The person who is much older, sleeps on the bed, a very single bed, and then I sleeps on the floor in the little space that is left. That he can't go to the toilet without almost stepping on me. But it was a sacrifice. And then from there, moved to a bigger place. And then I still have to open the door of my house to people to, lodge there. And again, God has been increasing. So to be honest, if you fold your hands, how can you receive? So generosity is one of the hallmark of an equipped steward. And I hope that this conversation will help you to open your mind to become more generous and to support people that are less that do not have as much as you do. And I pray that God bless you in the name of Jesus. Again, we believe in power of prayer, and I want us to just say in our chat, thank you to our guest for today. We will see you again, but let us also pray for our guest that God will continue to increase him, that God will continue to bless the work of his hand, and that because he has shared his experience with us, the Lord will reward him. God will continue to empower him and give him more grace to do more and more for the community. Many people will say you are a property investor, you are making money, but reality is many people have gotten property through his own investment who normally would not have gotten property because of the competition in getting a place. So we just want to say thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. And we pray that God will bless you richly in Jesus' name. So thank you all for joining, and God bless you all. If you have any question, please write us at hello@equipstewards.com, and we will do our best to reply. But also subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and also like and share the content with your friends. Thank you so much, and God bless you.